How did it turn out? My wife's former crush randomly messaged her on Facebook one day. She ducked him on day 2. She's now my ex-wife. She's jobless living with his mom. And I have the kids. Edit. It would figure that this is my most upvoted post. My kids are 5 and 3 so they don't understand it much, but I'm hoping for the long game when they realize which parent was really there for them. My son still says hurtful things at times like I don't want to live with you anymore. I want to live with mommy when he's angry. Thank you everyone for making my week. I really needed to smile. It's my son's first week in kindergarten and dealing with her through the process has been hell. Karma played on your side, mate. Found out she was fat and unattractive. Then I realized I was too. One of the most realistic replies. Hey baby. Let's do it. It's not like we're gonna get any thinner. Ran into my high school crush because we were both on the same plane and seated across the aisle from each other. She's a lesbian now. Did you try to turn her in some crazy Seinfeld-esque scenario? Hello. We talked every day in high school for 3 years. 20 years later she didn't remember me. That sucks. It seems that the girls I was chasing in high school, if I see them now it's like, I don't see what the big deal was. And then the girls I wasn't chasing, but in retrospect should have been, are all insanely gorgeous. Funny. Smart. If I had a time machine I'd go back and punch 15-year-old me right in the beanbag. Idiot. I hear ya. I was too cool for band so I tried to do sports. I sucked. Meanwhile all the band girls were being finger blasted on the bus rides home while I was awkwardly missing layups on the basketball court. Dudes, not all band kids got laid. You didn't necessarily miss anything, source. Take a wild guess. Edit. Why the duck are people using my comment as a spot to brag about how much they got in high school, like what the duck? Last time I saw her when I was 12. I was 35 when I did some research on the internet and found her. I sent her a letter saying hi and was curious on how she was doing. Gave my email address and cell phone number. 3 weeks went by and get a message through Facebook from her saying, I'm fine. Married with twin boys. Don't contact me again. 6 months go by and my parents get a phone call from a guy saying he's her ex-husband and wanted to talk to me. I call him from a friend's cell phone. He tells me that she's in a marriage with an extremely controlling husband and I should be careful. I thank him for letting me know and hang up. I've stayed away ever since. Had a crush on this really pretty girl that was in my study hall. And I always tried to steal glances and check her out and all that. But I would never have dared to ask her out. Anyway. About a year ago I got a text from a number I didn't know. And started talking to them. Surprise surprise. It was her. She told me she used to write poems about me in study hall. It hasn't gone any further than that, but we do Snapchat and catch up occasionally. He always said, I want to be a cop. I'll never be a duck in firefighter. Firefighters are kittens. Cops are the real men. He became an army firefighter. But instead of being humbled he's still a total douche. Firefighters are fucking homos. Duckin' firefighters. First time getting kitten in the history of kitten. Or fire. Went out for drinks. Still fixated on her. Was given a chance. Got wasted and embarrassed myself by spending so much of the night talking about how much my younger self liked her. Extolling her virtues like it was years ago. Mentioned how crazy and awesome it was that I was finally getting my chance. It was sad as shit. I didn't realize how bad I'd act up until I sobered up. Woke up and immediately knew I would not be given a second opportunity. Saw her reactions and responses from the previous night with a sober eye. Realized the massive amount of I'm going to be polite. But I've made a mistake that was continuously written across her face. Embarrassing as shit. I'm cringing with you. Edit. Duck it. I'm not changing it. Cringing so hard I shit myself. When I was in first year I had the stupidest little girl crush on this guy in my program. And I had no idea how to express it. So I think I thoroughly creeped him out with my staring and pathetic attempts to get him to have coffee with me and such. Anyway. That was 8 years ago and I've really matured as a person since then. I hadn't even thought of him in years when I ran into him. I was actually excited to find out he worked at a store I was planning to go to. I thought I can finally have a normal conversation with crush. He'll see I'm not a creepy weirdo anymore. Anyway, when I ran into him our conversation went like this. Me. Hey, crush. How's it going? Him. Good thanks. How are you? Me. Good thanks. How are you? And then it just spiraled into awkwardness from there. Guess some people just bring it out of me. So what happened next? The climax was an awkward conversation. He jerked off 2 guys in the middle of the store. Had drinks. Went back to her hotel. Basically did not leave it for 2 days. Netflix marathon? They were just chilling. I felt puzzled that I had ever had a crush on him. Said hi and moved on. We started a small thing when we were around 17 years old. Didn't work out cause she was spoiled and I was pretty heartless a-hole. Fast forward a few relationships for us both 11 years of growth and she came back into my life a few months ago. We're dating and life is pretty good now, couldn't ask for anything more. Sometimes it's the right person but the wrong time. Let's see. Met her when I was 13. We totally crushed. Fast forward to when we're both 23. She has a kid from a previous marriage. But it didn't bother me. Got married. She cheated. Tried to take me for child support for her daughter. 2/10 would not recommend. She didn't get child support. Did she? He did say tried. I liked her when we were 15 but she wasn't nice to me. I ran into her when we were 23 and she looked so old I didn't recognize her. When she realized I didn't recognize her, she began to cry and ran to the bathroom. Never saw her again. Update. Thanks for all the questions. I had rather sad answers to most of you. We definitely weren't at Taco Bell, aka the Aphrodite of fast foods. I'm confident she wasn't a faceless man who was accidentally named by her friend. You should check if she's okay in the bathroom. People slip in there sometimes. Edit. Got my first gold. Thank you. She'll come out eventually. Or maybe she did and I didn't recognize her again. I'm an a-hole. I'm sorta currently going through something like this. Dated 2 years ago. She went through a rough patch and I was young and stupid so she slammed the door on me. We added each other to Facebook and met recently. It was outstanding. We had really great time and went to her place. I don't know where it goes from now. Gotta be patient and receptive, I guess. I came out of a house party to piss and she was between 2 parked cars outside blowing 2 guys. I drunkenly cheered her on then took a piss on the house. Tried to pull an ultimatum on me in high school, do this or we're over. I called her bluff and that's how our relationship ended. 10ish years later we're both single and I visit her on a lark. Turns out she's sleeping with a divorced man and trying to get him to abandon his wife and daughter. Yeah. Also her apartment was absolutely filthy. I mean I'm no prize but I've tried to ruin exactly 0 families. She works at a supermarket near me. I said hi one time and have since avoided using it because I'm not the best with repeated social interaction. Edit. Thanks for all the helpful tips guys. But I avoid her because I don't want to do the hey what's up? How you doing fake an interest in their life interaction. Really? I'm all good socially mostly. I feel you. I'm planning to move cause I got drunk and talked to my neighbors and now they say hi when they see me. I seriously debated this. She didn't recognize me. Or maybe pretended not to. Who knows? Either way felt pretty shit. Her last name is very close to mine so throughout high school our lockers were together or we'd have seats in class next to each other. She was a cheerleader. Incredibly hot and also a cool person. We were friends but nothing close. I ran into her 4 years later. She dropped out of college and is waiting tables now. But she got even hotter. Still a really nice girl though. Edit. Sorry to disappoint guys. But no oral at Taco Bell was involved. People keep asking if I asked her out and no I didn't. I've had a girlfriend for over 2 years. No we didn't hook up at a Taco Bell either. So he continued to watching her closely. Hadn't seen her in 15 years. Ran into each other online. Decided to meet up for dinner. Married now for 5 years and 1 kid. Sorta similar. I had ugly duckling syndrome in high school. Hit about 16 and boom, I suddenly became attractive to women. But I still had no idea how to interact with women at all. At 22 I started to get minor modeling fill-in gigs. Fast forward to 2010, I found this girl on Facebook I had been in love with since 6th grade. She just went through a divorce, so I spilled my guts. We were always friends, but she didn't know my feelings. I flew home to Sacramento from Dallas just to see her. At least see my friend. Boom, it was like instantaneous love. For 4 days we were in an intense feeling of love. My dreams literally came true. We planned for her to visit Dallas. Bought a ticket. Well, she fooled around on me. That old cheesy ass Dr. Swiss quote, don't cry cause it's over. Smile cause it happened. Well, I still smile because I finally had a legitimate dream come true. Everything I wanted from 8 years old to 18 happened. That's what counts. I hope you knocked the bottom out of it for those 4 days. We've been dating nearly a year. He was my sister's best friend and I crushed on him from 2nd grade to 10th. I am high-fiving the hell out of my childhood self now. Most amazing relationship I've ever had. She was in my class back in kindergarten. In my class again in 3rd grade. Showed her my boxers and she was now my girlfriend. Then I discovered she cheated on me with my best friend. I saw him showing her his underwear. Needless to say, I've moved on from that event in my life. But if you are out there, Olivia or Matt, duck you. This comment is weird if you imagine OP as the teacher. Got Thai food. Hung out. Caught up. Pretty chill. Would still duck her brains out, but I don't think she's into it. Crushed hard and competed for a really cute girl in college, but when she moved in with him I closed the door on things. Years later she sought me out on Facebook as apparently for her. I was the one that got away. It led to a tourbillon on again. Off again. Mostly sexual tryst in which we determined the things we did best were fighting or effing, which we cycled through quarterly until about a 4-year break due to mutual animosity. We made up. Had an amazing year. And broke up again in a heart-wrenching explosion that stings to this day. You should fight and duck at the same time. It just saves time. Doing 2 things at once. Super. We originally met my freshman year of high school. His senior year. 3 years later. We met again. I still had a crush. We became really good friends. Then started dating after I graduated. We are now married and have been for over 2 years. I was in love with him for most of my lower teenage years. He was my best friend, but I broke it off when I found out he'd been talking shit behind my back. I never thought he meant what he said about me. But I do know he was desperate to be liked by people. And didn't mind shitting on me to seem cooler to them. Of course the people he talked to told me about it. I sent him a handwritten letter explaining what I'd heard. And also that I was still in love with him and couldn't be just friends. We met up when I was 19. About 3 years since we'd last seen each other. He was as charming as he'd always been. And I realized how quickly we fell back into our previous roles. Him being cool but kind of an a-hole. And me hanging off his every word. I'm happy we met up because it gave me some closure to realize I didn't feel the same as I did about him. And that he was even more of an a-hole. I still think about him sometimes, but much more soberly than I did when we still hung out. Closure is like corrective glasses for hindsight. Everything is clearer. With a trip to the clinic. We dated very briefly in college. I was absolutely smitten, but it only lasted a few weeks before he decided he wanted to explore his options and many other ladies' vaginas. 7 years later we bumped into each other at a bar, both having coincidentally moved to the same city. I had just gone through a bad breakup and he convinced me to let him tend to both my broken heart and my lady garden with some story about how he had harbored feelings for me all of those years. Turns out all he had harbored was genital warts. Had a crush on her all through freshman and sophomore year. She kissed me at the end of sophomore year. I failed to reciprocate. Basically ran away from her. Extreme social anxiety. I switched schools after disappearing for the summer, not because of the kiss. But when school started again, I walked to her school every day for half of the year in hopes of having the balls to make a move. Saw her each day. Failed each day. She obviously got tired of waiting. Ended up with another guy. I gave up. Come end of senior year, she shows up at my school to see some guy. Saw me. Literally jumped into my arms and forced her phone number on me. Together 7 years come November. I proposed to her around a week ago. Edit. Thank you for the gold, you amazing person. Edit 2. For those who have asked. She said yes. Though the proposal was more of a discussion of the ring I am trying to have made for her. Social awkwardness FTW. Have you kissed yet? Stop pressuring him. Will likely be buried forever, but what the hell? Had a crush on this girl in grade school. 1st second. Playdates. Video games. Action figures. Life was good. Bought her a present at a 5 and 10 because I thought she'd like it. It was a ring. She was ultra embarrassed and ran off. My parents still have not let me forget that. She changed schools, for other reasons, that next year. Fast forward 14 years. Graduated from undergrad. Working for a company in my hometown and working on getting accepted to medical school. Out for drinks one night with friends, and who should come by but her? Beautiful. Great taste in music. Smiles at my jokes. Smitten. Fast forward several more years. Gave her a ring again. She did not run away. Happily married several years. I read it before it got buried. Just so you don't feel like you typed in vain. Saw her at the 10-year HS reunion. She was a bit heavier than she'd been in HS. But still attractive. She was there with her Ivy League fiancé. These two facts combined to change my mindset from I wanna bang my HS crush at our reunion to oh well. Never mind. At one point, we were being recognized for something. And with all eyes on us, she leaned over and said, I remember what a crush you had on me. You wanted me bad. First, I couldn't really react, given the immediate circumstances. Second, I didn't detect any kind of Taco Bell type invitation in what she'd said. Sorry. In fact, it almost seemed like she was just lording it over me. I mean, she was there with her fiancé, who we determined in previous small talk. She loved and who was awesome. For some reason, it really pissed me off. I just gave her a blank look, shrugged, and walked away. To this day, I wish I'd had some kind of witty comeback. But that's about my only regret. Haven't seen her since. But I hope she's happy. And blah blah. Your reaction sounds perfect. I'm thinking she couldn't wait to drop that on you. And you just gave her a meh. Sometimes less is more. You basically said yeah. But that was when you were young and pretty without a single word spoken. Go you. Pretty great. Actually. Met a girl 7 years ago. She was beautiful and smart and I was dumb and ugly. Not a great match. We hit it off as friends. But nothing more than that. We stopped working together and drifted apart. Quite naturally. I then compared every girl I met to her and didn't meet anyone as good. You might think I put her on a pedestal. However, I think I was quite reasonable and realistic. We stayed friends on Facebook and eventually decided to meet up again. Because she hadn't seen the new Star Trek film and I thought that was atrocious. Being a huge Trek nerd. We got on like a house on fire. She knew I had previously liked her. I wasn't exactly trying to hide my feelings at the time, and quickly had a second date. We moved astonishingly fast. She knew me and already trusted me, knowing I was a good person. But I was definitely different. Way more grown up and actually took a bit more care into how I looked. She was a lot different as well. But still made me fall for her hard all over again. We became official after a few days and since our third date never spent a day apart. Following a few coincidences. We moved in together after a month of dating and I was able to stream my job from her place better than I could at home. 5 months in and I suddenly had the desire to marry this girl. So in my pajamas I jumped out of bed and asked her to marry me. That same summer. No waiting around. So 1 year and 3 days after we started dating we were married. Have since bought a flat in London and are living quite happily. We work really well with each other. We don't get mad at each other because we both know we're on each other's side, and if there is a problem, it wasn't caused by a malicious act from the other. We just keep calmly communicating and do our best to help each other. That's a beautiful picture, man. Turns out she's a crystal healing, vaccination hating wingnut. I dodge a bullet. A mother I used to live near basically said, "Putting this amber necklace on my baby will diffuse the amber into the bloodstream and protect him from you." I couldn't even. First time I met someone like that. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.